Have you ever wondered why we feel such a strong urge to talk about others when they aren't around? It is a behavior we often judge, yet almost everyone does it. We call it gossip, and it usually has a negative reputation. But behind the whispers and the secrets, there is a complex psychological engine at work. It is not always about being mean or trying to ruin someone's life. In fact, many experts believe gossip served a vital purpose in human evolution. Think about it. Long ago, knowing who was a hard worker and who was a liar could mean the difference between life and death. We needed to know who to trust in our tribe. So, sharing information about others became a way to keep the community safe. But in the modern world, this survival instinct has mutated into something different. It is no longer about survival, but about social power and emotional release. Today, we are going to peel back the layers of why people gossip and look at the three main psychological drivers. You might even see yourself in one of these reasons. Let us start with the first reason, which is social bonding through shared secrets. There is a strange, immediate intimacy that happens when two people talk about a third person. It creates a feeling of being on the same team. When you share a piece of juicy information, you are essentially saying, "I trust you with this secret." This builds a fast connection, a sense of belonging that feels rewarding to our brains. It creates a clear boundary between the people in the conversation and the person being talked about. This us versus them mentality strengthens the bond within the group. It is like a social glue that holds a circle of friends together. However, this bond is often fragile because it is built on the exclusion of someone else. If the only thing holding a friendship together is talking about others, what happens when there is no one left to talk about? That is the danger of using gossip as a shortcut to intimacy. Now, let us look at the second reason, which is the quest for social status and power. Information is a form of currency in our social world. When you know something that others do not, you feel a temporary surge of importance. You become the center of attention. As people lean in, they listen closely, and for a moment, you hold the power. This is especially true in environments like workplaces or schools where status is constantly being negotiated. By sharing someone's flaws or failures, the person gossiping is subtly trying to raise their own standing. It is a way of saying, "I am better than them because I would never do that." It is a shortcut to feeling superior without actually achieving anything. This type of gossip is often driven by a competitive drive. We want to see where we stand in the social hierarchy. If we can bring someone else down a notch, we feel like we have moved up. But this feeling is an illusion. True status comes from character and contribution, not from tearing others down in the shadows. The CBNJ and perhaps most common reason is a deep sense of insecurity and self-defense. Many people use gossip as a shield. When we feel bad about ourselves, seeing someone else's mistakes makes us feel better. It is a projection of our own fears and inadequacies onto another person. If I am worried about my own performance, I might point out how someone else is failing. It distracts people from looking at my flaws. Psychologically, this is known as Hayang Sahoy Bigyo. We look for people who are doing worse than us to boost our own fragile self-esteem. In this case, gossip isn't really about the other person at all. It is a mirror of the gossiper's internal struggle. They are trying to soothe their own pain by focusing on the mess in someone else's life. It is a temporary relief, like a drug that wears off quickly, leaving them needing more. Another aspect of this is the fear of being the target. Some people gossip because they want to stay on the good side of the group. They join in the whispering so that the attention does not turn toward them. It is a survival tactic born out of anxiety. They think, if I am part of the circle doing the talking, I won't be the one they talk about next. But this is a trap. In a group that thrives on gossip, no one is ever truly safe. If they talk with you about others, they will surely talk with others about you. This realization can lead to a cycle of paranoia and more gossip. So, we have looked at bonding, status, and insecurity. But there is also a biological component to this. When we hear a secret, our brains release dopamine, the feel-good chemical. It is a small rush of excitement. This is why gossip is so addictive. We get a hit of pleasure from knowing something scandalous. And when we share it, we get another hit of social validation. Our brains are literally wired to pay attention to social information. Evolutionarily, this kept us informed about the dynamics of our tribe. But in a world of social media and constant connectivity, this instinct is being overloaded. We are consuming and spreading information at a rate our ancestors never imagined. We are constantly judging people we do not even know. This creates a toxic environment where empathy is replaced by criticism. We forget that the person we are talking about is a human being with feelings and struggles. We turn them into a character in a story, a caricature of their worst moments. This dehumanization makes it easier to keep talking, but it also erodes our own sense of integrity. Every time we engage in malicious gossip, we lose a little bit of our own peace. We become more guarded and more suspicious of others, because deep down, we know how the game is played. We know that if we can do it to them, others can do it to us. This creates a culture of distrust. So, how do we break the cycle? It starts with awareness. When you feel that urge to share something negative about someone, ask yourself why. Am I trying to feel closer to this person? Am I trying to feel better about myself? Or am I just bored? Understanding the motive can help you choose a different path. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stay silent. Or even better, say something positive. Redirecting the conversation can change the entire energy of a room. It takes courage to stand against the tide of gossip. But it builds a foundation of true trust and respect. Imagine a social circle where people talk about ideas and growth instead of people. That is where real connection happens. Gossip might be an old habit, but it does not have to define us. We have the power to decide what kind of information we want to give life to. We can choose to be the person who builds bridges instead of walls. It all starts with the next conversation you have and the choices you make in that moment.